good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm a little sleepy this morning. I don't know about you. This is it's Thursday, so it's my last day of the week. I guess you guys will be here tomorrow too. If you haven't heard about why we do a 4-day school week, we have an episode on that. You should definitely check out. That being said, my guests today are both of my parents, Russell and Amy Grammer. This is the whole package deal. This is the founders and directors of Prodigy Leadership Academy. So today I'm really excited to talk with you guys about our chapter in the Prodigy Way, about us being mission driven. This is one of our core values here, and it's really the driving force behind Prodigy, has been for the last 16 years and even before then when God was first putting it on your heart. So let's dive into this a little bit. What does it mean for Prodigy to be mission driven? What does that look like going back to the beginning?
Yeah, I think it means wholehearted. You're wholehearted in what you're doing. And also the purpose, at least for me, the purpose of what I do is because of my relationship with God. I want to hear him. I want to obey him. I want to honor God with my thoughts, my words, my actions. And to me, all of this is embedded in the notion of mission.
Yes, I think you summed it up well. It's our whole life. My life, when I gave my life to the Lord, I gave it to him. And so I just want to honor him with my everything. And it just so happens that he called us in a very specific way to do this. And therefore, I want to please my Father, and I want to love him by doing it and doing it well and doing it until he calls us to something different.
In the very beginning of this chapter, Jessica references a conversation you had with a potential board member very early on, where he asked, "Are you on the shore? Are you on the bridge? Where are you?" Something like that.
Okay, it was a person I was hoping would become a board member, and I was explaining the strategy, the plan, what we're thinking about, how we're going to support young people and families. And he said, "All right, let me ask you this. Are you on the side of the ship, standing there looking at the water, thinking about jumping in, or are you in the water?" And immediately I said, "I am in the water." At that point, I'd already been to our local superintendent to tell him this is my last year teaching in the public school sector. And so I was certainly in the water. And as soon as I said that, it was amazing to me because he said, "All right, I'm in there with you. I'm in the water with you."
It's really cool that God's brought people along like that to support the mission the entire way too. So that I actually wanted to talk about that too, is what are a few of the ways that God has supported this mission throughout the years, that he's sustained it? Because obviously on your own, doing something like this is all but impossible.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's the truth. I mean, you could work at it on your own, and a lot of people do, but, we want the Lord to lead it, and so therefore we lay it all at his feet.
Yeah.
And then rely on him.
So what are some ways that you, have had to rely on him, and what are some of the ways then also that he has answered that and been faithful?
Well, mission is full of risk. It's so interesting when you just think about living life with a mission. And I have the theory that anyone can do this anytime they want. It's not elusive. It's really having purpose in your life. And to me, it's the fuel that you need to be able to face these risks. Many times with life, for anyone, there are going to be disappointments, discouragement, letdown. Things don't go the way you expect and hope for. But the difference between just going through your day without a mission versus having a mission is, to me, I have a driving force. I have like a moral anchor point, and that is in relationship with God. And so when all of these things happen that could be setbacks, they're not, because I understand God's in control. He has good plans and purposes, and he will fulfill his plan. And I get the privilege of walking it out with him. And then that's just adventure. So when there is a setback or a letdown or disappointment, it's just part of the adventure. It's like an obstacle course, maybe, only on a big scale.
Well, and I would say it is an end goal, right? Like the end goal is our end goal is our mission of supporting children and families
There's a temptation with something like Prodigy or maybe any organization. There's a temptation to start trying to gauge your level of success by numbers, by data, by feedback that you get from people. But to me, being on a mission also means that you are surrendered to God. And an important way to surrender to God is look at the life of Jesus. And if you believe Jesus and you love him, you recognize that he is perfectly man and perfectly God. And all of his actions and deeds while he lived on the earth were perfect, like love motivated continuously. And yet many times people completely rejected him. They just didn't respond the way that you would think they would or hope they would. And so he is our example of what it looks like to live a mission. But you count the cost too. Like I always considered, we quit our jobs. We started this Prodigy thing. We hoped that it would make a difference. I remember counting the cost though and thinking, what if this only makes a difference for one person? And all of the risk and all of the struggle and all of the kind of sense of security that we gave up to walk in this direction. What if it makes a difference for one person? Is that worth it? And for me, the clear conclusion was it's absolutely worth it.
Right. And I don't think you can judge it against the world's standards.
I was going to say, because you said sense of security there, but really what you gave up was what most people would call your security. You gave up your jobs, your benefits, your income.
And a lot of people thought, hey, it's great for Russell to do it, right? Like I had another job and they were very supportive. It still felt very risky for him to do it as long as I was continuing to do the secure thing, which would be earn the income in case that one didn't work. But the Lord had a different call and asked me to do it too. And at that point, everyone was a little bit freaked out, honestly.
Yes.
Yes.
Including us.
Yeah. But I think that in my heart and mind, I just thought I just want to obey. And that the Lord just calls us to obey regardless of the outcome. So you can't, back to the worldly standard, you can't judge it by the worldly standard. It's all about just doing what he tells you to do. And then watching him make it work. Because in the end, it's his. It's not ours. And so we don't really know where this is going.
Right.
We just know what he told us to do.
God can see the big picture.
Yes.
We can just see the very beginning of it, and it seems a little scary.
Yes. And so the key is continuing to listen and pray every day for all of our staff. It's just press in, listen to the Lord, do what you have to do in front of you with excellence, and look for what he's doing.
The idea of being mission-minded, though, I can't emphasize enough that being in a mission is about being in a relationship with God. He invented us for himself, to know that he loves us and he's with us. Like our identity is accurate when we see ourselves as he sees us. There's a danger in being mission-minded and I've experienced this many times, I can become so obsessively focused on, and passionate is, I can become so passionate about reaching this child over here to give support to that child and to the family, such that maybe I neglect my own family. Maybe I become manipulative. Maybe I become pushy with people. Maybe I actually maybe I'm actually interacting with people in a way that's not even good for them because I'm so into accomplishing this thing. And what I experience in the relationship with God is that he checks my heart and he searches inside of me, my motivations. And if I'm getting that way, he is so good to guide and teach, and he'll check me and let me know in my thoughts, or maybe through my wife or through some interaction with somebody, he will say, this is not what it means to be mission-minded. You don't push to accomplish your agenda. Mm-hmm. You stay surrendered to my love relationship and you listen to my voice.
Well, and I think it reminds me of the book and the chapter in the book where they were talking about the balance between task and people and the doing versus the loving. And we don't have to push and drive so hard because the Lord will make it happen. It's really not up to us.
Yeah.
But once again, we just have to try to hear and obey.
Yeah.
And do it in a loving way.
It's more of a surrender to me. It's saying, God, I give myself to you and I'm allowing you to have your way here. And I don't want to get in your way. I just want to be a participant.
Along for the ride. Jesus takes the wheel.
Yeah, it is like that.
Yeah. And we knew there was going to be a great cost to this. And we knew it was crazy and weird. The one thing that Russell would often say, and it would get me, and it still kind of gets me and propels me, is not missing out, like, and being a part of what God's doing. Because if we don't, this is the part, maybe this is the weird part about me. If we don't do it, someone else will. Because he'll raise someone else up to do what he wants done.
He's looking for who's willing.
He's looking for who's willing. And that like gets me. I'm like, I want to be the one. I want to do it.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I don't know if that's right or wrong, but that often I'm like, okay, it kind of kicks me started again.
no, I bet he's a fan of that, because this reminds me of in the Bible where he's calling Moses, and Moses is like, I'm too nervous. Have somebody else do it. And God's like, well, fine, I'll let your brother interpret for you or speak for you or whatever. He's like, but you're going to have less. He's like, I had more for you, but you're just going to be sharing it with someone else now. So you guys are here together, and you're like, yeah, we'll do it. So I bet he's happy about that.
On the point of not being enough, here's the deal, is every person in life, I think, has this internal voice that says you're not doing enough. You're
Doing enough.
You're not doing enough. You're incapable to accomplish all the things that you know are good and important and that you want to accomplish in one day, for instance. I think everyone has those types of thoughts. You get to the end of a day and you think, I could have done something different. I could have done more. I could have done better. Kind of like with what you just brought up with Moses and Aaron. I sort of interpret that when Moses said, I have this speech issue. And I think God was more like, instead of saying, fine, I'll do this, I think God was more like, I understand. And I am happy to bring someone alongside you. Because again, what I think the Lord is doing, he's in the business of building relationships. And he's in the business of inviting his children to be part of his good work of healing, setting people free from bondage, giving people joy, giving people reminders that they're important. And God's doing that all day, today, all around us. And we can all get swept up and caught up in distracting thoughts and also all that negative internal stuff. And so to me, it's about being a child with an awesome daddy who invites us to play on his playground, which is the best place to be.
Well, I
Just summed it up very well.
I do like that interpretation better. Another thing that I want to talk about here is how being mission driven for you two, what does that look like? Jessica ends this chapter with discussing this trickle down effect that this has on the staff, students, and families here at Prodigy. So what is that? How do you see that happening?
It's very humbling. Actually, it makes me want to cry because it just means we have to take, I do think that is often the case. I mean, your foundation, your pillars, the foundation is so important for the rest of the building, right? And a poor foundation, you're not going to get a very strong building. So I think when you think of it in terms of elements like that, it's a high calling. And I think the Bible references many times leadership and the importance of your leadership. And they're called to a higher standard. So it's super humbling. And when we just lay our hearts, we're not perfect. We've made multiple mistakes. And, it's, I guess though with a growth mindset, which is what we try to teach our children, is you get up and you do it again. And thank God, like the Bible is full of people who made mistakes. And I do think it's our heart's posture before the Lord that he ultimately sees and hopefully honors. I mean, he did with David and so many others in the Bible.
What does it feel like to see other people come alongside and join this mission? Like, because I know that the staff here, all of them they're here ultimately because of the mission that you guys joined in with God on.
That's exciting. And the only way that this continues is for people to join in. And the only way for it to multiply is for
More
people
people
to join in. And so the hope and prayer is that they will catch that they will hear from the Lord themselves and long to push forward with it.
I think people are craving inspiration. I think people benefit tremendously when they have inspiration and
Purpose.
accountability and guidance. I think people are desperate for these things, whether they realize it or not. And to me, it's not so much a trickle down situation. I don't think that I'm a mission-minded person and then that trickles into other people's lives. I see it as kind of like sparks, and I see that the sparks are God initiated. So a spark could be a recognition that there's a child over there, right there is a child who is struggling and suffering. And the Lord moves me to think, I want to come alongside that child and I want to be supportive. Like, that's very important. I can't think of anything more important to do with my focus and my attention and my time and my effort and my resource. That child
And to love that child
needs to be supported. So then I'm moved in that direction by love. And the Bible says God is love. So clearly this is his work in me to aim me at this child to give support. And then I think when I wholeheartedly move in that direction in agreement with what God wants to do or what he is doing, then he is positioning other people alongside to say, I see the spark in you aimed at that child to be supportive. Or he also directs their attention to the child, and suddenly the two of us are like, the spark is getting bigger, or it's bouncing back and forth. It's like it's just this effect of building a flame and fanning a flame. And people are desperate for that because no one wants to go through a day of their life thinking, I don't really have anything to do, or this life doesn't have meaning, or I'm just guessing about being a nice person today and I'm hoping I do it. People don't want to go through a day with an experience that seems empty.
Mediocre.
But a lot of people are.
Yeah.
And so when people see that spark happening, which is a God movement,
It's exciting.
they go, hey, they lean in. You know, they feel it. It happens deep inside of them, like in the core. And I've had people ask me, we have over 40 staff people here now. And I look around me sometime at our staff and I think, how are you even here? Because you are such a high caliber, high level person that how are you here? I mean, I think this stuff frequently, and I have people even ask me, how did you find such amazing staff people at Prodigy? And I usually say, I didn't find them. Like, God knows how to bring them.
And furthermore, our board, our PTO, those are all volunteer positions. And that's another, it's a whole lot more right there.
And one of the most amazing parts to me is I will see our staff members or a board member or a PTO volunteer, for instance, I'll see somebody face a big setback, like just a hard thing, because, you know, relationships are hard and you face things every day that are going to, you know, work against you somehow. I see people face this kind of stuff and then they just keep on going. They keep on doing what's right. They keep their focus on the appropriate target. And when I see that, I go, that is a mission-minded person. And I'm surrounded by them. And then that inspires me. And I have to tell you, like, being mission-minded, people might get the wrong idea that you wake up every day with this urgency and this excitement about what you're going to accomplish. No. I mean, how many times have we awakened in a day and thought, I don't want to get out of bed?
I can't do this anymore.
That happens a lot. And maybe it even happens more for someone who's mission-minded because they are in the thick of the difficult things of life. They're not trying to veg out. They're not trying to be disconnected and self-protect. A mission-minded person is in the thick of the hard stuff. So of course you're going to have so many times that you're just like, I am completely worn out, which I think when we look at Jesus, again, he is the model. And when you look at his life, how many times did he go walk off into the wilderness?
He's like, see ya.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had to replenish. And he is the king of the universe. Like, he had to replenish. And if we think that we can be mission minded and just do all this stuff every day, all the time, that's not what God thinks.
Guys, I'm afraid we've come to the end of our time today. I know that this topic especially, again, is one that we could just go on and on about. We could just keep going deeper because there's so much to it. But I want to thank you guys for your time today. Thank you for saying yes about this mission, because truly it is impacting so many young people and families alike. And it's just really cool to see how God's working.
And can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
Sorry, I did this yesterday.
Mom likes to do this.
Every time.
She's like, hold on, I have another thought.
We can't do it without the other people.
True.
I mean, this is not just a Russell and Amy thing. This is like, we cannot do this without other people. The reach wouldn't be there. So we're just truly grateful for all of those people that have come alongside.
That's good. That's a good note to end on. So thanks guys so much for your time.
Thank you, John.